Hey out there, and welcome to today's Search Engine Journal webinar. Hope you're having a great day, and we're thrilled to have you here with us. I'm joined by Bill Russell of One SEO. And today he's going to be sharing with us new marketing ideas, strategies, and channels for next year. Personally, I can't believe that we're already talking about next year or that today is the first day of December, but let's not waste another minute. Today, we're going to talk about the most effective channels that you can utilize as we move into next year and new ways to generate revenue and leads online. And Bill's going to talk with us about the most efficient ways to track the KPIs that matter to make informed campaign decisions. So before we get too far into this, I'm Heather Campbell. I'll be your moderator today. Bill, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Heather.
Yeah, so before we get into some general housekeeping, tell us a little bit about you and One SEO.
Sure. As you said, I'm Bill Russell. I'm the Chief Sales Officer for One SEO. We're a full-service digital agency. We've been in business for now going on 13 years. Google Premier Partner, Facebook, Bing, multiple U.S. Search Award winner, which, that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves that we can say that we've won this U.S. Search Awards, over the course of the last 3 years from different categories, from low budget campaigns to nonprofit campaigns, and really been able to say, hey, we want to look at those particular aspects of our business and have data-driven decisions. And that's what that award is really about, is making data-driven decisions. And they really are the kind of, for lack of better words, the Oscars of the U.S. search industry. And we take a lot of pride in the fact that for us as an agency, it's a scenario where we've been able to grow. We have about 450 clients, both nationally and internationally, that range from home service-based businesses, lawyers, doctors, dentists, heating, air conditioner, e-commerce clients, clients that are doing anywhere from 10 to 20 million on the e-commerce side, to nonprofits. 1-800-GAMBLER is one of our larger clients that we work with on the nonprofit side of things, and been able to help their business grow significantly. And last but not least, enterprise level clients that are out there, from the J.G. Wentworths of the world, to being able to say we have a systematic approach that we try to make data-driven decisions as it applies to helping the business grow. John Wanamaker said it best: half of all advertising works. It's a matter of how you figure out which half works and which half doesn't, and you put more money into the half that works. So, I'm excited to spend the next 30, 35 minutes with the audience to be able to kind of give some things that we're looking at here at One SEO as far as with respect to 2022 and things that we're looking to bring to our clients and what we have going on to help them better manage and make sure that their marketing and the channels that are working for them and new channels that are working for them that are going to help them grow and continue to prosper in their business through the next year.
Awesome, Bill.
What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, Heather, is I'd like to start off today with a little quick poll for the audience and say, is your marketing plan for 2022 finalized at this point in time?
I'm going to go ahead and launch that. And I'll tell you what, while people are going through there, I just want to real quick say, if you have questions or comments, use the questions box to ask them. And so get those votes coming in. And then secondly, you will absolutely get a recording of this after today's live presentation. So watch your inbox for that. Bill, we've got about 50% of people voted. So let's see if we get a couple more. Right now, 50%, about 40% of people are saying that they're about 50% finalized with their plan.
Awesome. Well, listen, to the 50% that are already finalized with your plan, hopefully some of the information that I can put out today will help you as far as with regards to the directions that you're heading in, as far as with regards to the remainder of 2022. And for those that don't have that plan done, hopefully some information, some key nuggets, some good information that will help you to take yourself to finalizing those plans as you move forward. So what I'd like to do is kind of give you a 30,000-foot level as far as where we're headed with the agenda for today's webinar and the audience that are out there. Really three kind of key components that I want to focus on. Number one, marketing ideas and strategies for 2022. Okay. Then in addition to that, marketing channels for 2022. And then hopefully what we can do is leave the last section up for Q&A and be able to take it in that particular direction to any questions that you might have. And if not able to answer them in this timely manner, by all means, I'm available and I'll be able to give my contact information on the backside of the call that you'll be able to reach out to me directly and I'll be able to help you in any way, shape, or form that I can. As far as, obviously marketing ideas and strategies go, I think one of the things that you have to understand is that the world is ever changing. It's not a perfect world that we live in right now, because as much as marketers as we'd like to is to say, hey, I'm going to log into one reporting platform. Okay, I'm going to log into that platform. I'm going to see it. I'm going to immediately see what are the most important KPIs that matter to me. And then I'm going to understand how that campaign performance and return on investment is. Okay, it's just not that simple anymore. Unfortunately, that might have been in 2002, 2003, but where the world has kind of gone has shifted tremendously in all of the different platforms that you have to be able to look at, specifically be able to flow into. Number one, obviously you want to check where your analytics are to check your organic results, your paid results, your social media. And then it's kind of saying, hey, how do I look at specifically what's happening within the AdWords dashboard? How do I match up that organic and paid aspects? How do I go into Search Console and see what Google's telling me as far as search impression share, or excuse me, search impression positions, clicks that I'm getting through that? And how do I look at my CRM to isolate where that is? And then how do I marry all that information together to be able to really see where my return on ad spend and results are? From a return on investment standpoint. And so I think one of the things that what we hope to do through the course of today's is really specifically looking at all the different potential channels that, number one, you can potentially go in. Everybody knows about Google Ads, Google Local Service Ads, Google Screen, Facebook Ads. But who can say that they're now taking the next evolution to be able to say that they're doing things like YouTube advertising, to say that they're doing things like the Google Display Network, to look at saying, how is Google going to look at display, remarketing, video, and search? Google wants you to play in their sandbox, okay? One of the interesting things is us as an agency, Google's changing how we as an agency are being monitored and how agencies in general are being monitored across the board to be able to say, are they just running search or are they just running local service ads? They want to now know that you're pushing content via video, you're pushing content via display, that you're pushing content via remarketing, that you're pushing different YouTube actions that are out there, because these are all things that matter to them. And the more that things matter to them and the more diversity that you have in your overall marketing platform, the better those marketing sources are going to work together. So one of the first things I'd like to kind of just throw out there a little bit is, how do you connect with potential customers, okay, that have already come to your site, okay? One of the things is that you have to make an understanding of is that 96% of the time that people spend online, okay, outside of search, they're on things like mobile, websites, YouTube, Gmail, social. Only 4% of the time that's spent searching proactively allows you to produce. So one of the things is that you have to look and say, how do I focus on? Is the Google Display Network and reaching those people that have interacted with you in some way, shape, or form. This is where you get to connect with your customers that have already connected with you. How do you utilize retargeting? It's probably going to be your cheapest cost per acquisition across the board. There's over 3 million publishers that choose to host their ads within the Google Display Network. Why wouldn't you reach out to be able to say, somebody that came to my site, I want to keep them in the funnel. How do I look to continue to target them across the board? Retargeting is a phenomenal way to go as far as with regards to those people that have engaged with you, to be able to say, hey, I know that somebody has come to my site through paid search. Okay, 91% of all searches that start online for a product or service that people don't have an idea or a brand in mind are going to Google. Now, how do I keep those people alive? Because typical conversion rates across the board are running anywhere from 3 to 4% as far as where it is. So how do I keep people engaged with me? How do I look to say that for me, it's important to keep the journey alive for those that are focusing on that they didn't make a first-time interaction with me to convert? One of the things that we've seen is that for us, Google and YouTube are being used together more than ever to make informed decisions, okay? YouTube is a platform that's ripe, okay, with intent and full of content that's going to help after people are searching for your product. More than half of the people go to YouTube to learn. It's a great opportunity for your brand to interfere with the purchasing decision with the right ad at the right time. And people are buying what they find on YouTube more than 40% than what they didn't find on YouTube. Okay, and that's where we want to be able to say, how do we look and want to scale? 1.9 billion people visit YouTube every month. That's more than all of the people in China. That's more than all of the people in India. And it's 2 times more than all of the people, okay, in the US, UK, France, Germany combined. YouTube is a potential customer, okay? Your goal comes to watch, to discover, to consider, and yes, to buy. And that's where you want to be able to say, how is the intent that somebody has on search followed up by running conversion campaigns that you can look and utilize those people that searched for your product and service on Google and bring them back when they're searching for that product or service as it applies to what they're looking for on Google. I think one of the things that's interesting, okay, is that search between YouTube and when they make that decision as far as to convert. 80% of people say typically they switch between online search and video when buying and researching products, okay? I think this is pretty important, okay? Because committing to provide you with even more insights for your campaign, where you're backing video actions up and more transparency in how your users are viewing your campaigns across Google's networks. This is where attribution reports come into play that will enable you to see video action campaigns impact your other Google marketing channels like search to harness the full value of video in Google. This means you can better understand how your viewers are jumping between search and YouTube before they decide to convert. This is an unbelievable opportunity for you to be able to say, how can I jump in, okay, and understand what's happening between search and YouTube? There's a 43% higher lifts in purchase intent when you use these 2 channels together. So if you're already running search campaigns, a video is a great addition. According to a study that was conducted by Google, okay, ad impact is supercharged when exposed to both search and video. Ad versus search alone was 45% higher lift on ad recall and 43% higher lifts in purchase intent and a 180% higher message retention. Think about that. 180% higher message retention when you used video and search together. That's an incredible number to be thinking about and saying, do I just run search? Or do I look at how I diversify my budget across the board to be able to look at saying, I'm going to utilize this channel combined with this channel, combined with others channels. The journey isn't just a one-stop shop of being able to see what's happening. We've seen a 20% more conversion per dollar, okay, that are being driven by running video action campaigns than other TrueView action campaigns. And when video action campaigns drive that 20% more per dollar, it's a no-brainer to say, how do I incrementally lift the revenue that I'm going to make by utilizing these channels combined together? So what are some best practices that you can look at from a video action campaign standpoint? Number 1, conversion tracking, okay? if you're not utilizing the desired conversion tracking and making sure that you're looking at how do I set conversion tracking into place to showcase what's working and what's not working, it doesn't make a difference whether your bids in your budget and whether you're running targeted CPAs that ensure you have a 15x across the board to your bid ratio. You have to be able to track and convert what's happening through those campaigns across the board. Okay, looking at your audience strategy, starting with custom audiences, remarketing audience, similar audiences. You throw any other audiences you want, customer match. Enable the audience expansion that's going to allow your creative, add site links, okay, or run going to be 5 times creative variants that you need to be able to say, it's just not one thing. It's a multitude of a lot of little things done correctly. Okay, so when you do all these things across the board that follow these best practices, you're seeing a 50% higher conversion rate per dollar. And you're seeing a 40% higher conversion rate compared to when they don't follow the best practices. It's not hard practice to be able to do. It's just making sure that you have the right metrics, have the right implementation, and have the right follow-up that's going to allow you to be successful across the board. When you think about YouTube, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I talk to small to medium-sized businesses all the time, and they're like, well, I can't hire a full-time videography crew to go out and work with my team. Most iPhones are running 14 megapixels right now. I remember in 2003, I thought my 3.0 megapixel Canon was the greatest thing next to sliced bread. Run lo-fi footage across the board so that it can appear authentic. These are great ways that you can get live action footage to be able to help the fabricant and brands commonly used and allow these situations to be able to be built from images across the board and utilizing video ads that are going to help the image, text, stock access to be more effective and efficient while you're building new campaigns, while you're optimizing those campaigns, while you're making those campaigns successful via YouTube. So one of the things that I want to talk about is show, don't tell when it comes to video campaigns. And we're going to follow a simple kind of ABCD method. First of all, A, attract using tight framing and memorable visual elements in your video ads. Okay, B, brand. Introduce your company brand and services in the first 5 seconds through video and audio cues. C, connect. Functional messages leaning into emotional levers to make people the core story. Okay, and D, direct. Showing offers and specific call to actions to inspire the sense of urgency. Think about it this way. What was yesterday? It was Cyber Monday, okay? 7 years ago, Cyber Monday didn't exist, but it does now. And the offers that you do from Black Friday to Cyber Monday can carry over and help your conversions into the months of December and beyond to get you that. We all hear supply chain shortages, et cetera, et cetera. Get people out and in front and convert faster than ever. Interestingly enough, a website is 53 more times likely to reach the first page of Google if it includes video. Ask yourself a question. How many of you have video on your homepage? Include a video on your landing pages and boost your conversion rate by 80%. Look at when you go and A/B test having the video on a page versus not having video on a page, and look at what your time on site is. See the number of pages that happen as far as from your homepage and A/B test it when you have video and non-video. Video increases the organic search on a traffic by 157%. We've ran the testing across the board to be able to say to you and to our clients that you need to have video. You need to be able to produce content that people are going to engage with. Google's telling you that. That's where you have to be able to look and isolate specifically How do you want your site to interact with that end user? Video is going to continue to be one of those crucial assets that marketers are going to use more and more as far as in 2022. 59% of non-video marketers expect to start leveraging this year. People are saying 6 out of 10 times it's going to be a scenario where you're going to be able to utilize video to help you and where it's going. 66% of people prefer to watch a short video to learn about a product and service. Our intentions, we live in this microwave society that people, unfortunately, don't have the time to read the content that we put on page to drive organic traffic. Therefore, what they want to do is they want to see videos. They want to see the end user's interaction, how from a service-based business, how you're dealing with the potential customer that could be coming into your home. How from a product standpoint that product works. Quick example, I have a brand new puppy. I just bought the Snuggle puppy, okay, to help my dog through the night. The video sold me on why I should use that in conjunction with the reviews that were listed on the product from an e-commerce side. One product, one site, video, reviews, content. Here's some things to be thinking about when it comes to obviously looking at the business needs. Number one is mobile. Obviously there's been a lot of talk around mobile indexing first. How are you utilizing social needs, and how are you staying connected? Those are the things that are going to ultimately help you to be in a situation where you continue to grow your video assets and allow you to remain in a mobile first environment, and more importantly, in an AI first environment. I wanted to share a quick success story that we had with a home service-based business that's located in Austin, Texas. And one of the things that we utilized was, how can we approach video and allowing that from a social standpoint to be able to better help targeted potential new customers that hadn't converted in one campaign, and target and have them convert, but had said they had never seen the campaign. And all of that by doing is focusing on behavior, which was undoubtedly crucial to understand where the online success was. 251% increase in conversions, 35% decrease in cost per conversion, 228 increase in the number of phone calls for this service-based business. Why did this matter? Is because they were able to employ us to be able to say, how can we make our video and the content that we are, by having a couple of different funnels going, utilizing A/B creatives, ensuring that we had the right call to actions to convert customers, switching from static to responsive display ads, utilizing Google's in-market audiences, enhancing CPC, maximize conversions, and automated bidding. These were all things that allowed us to be able to take the content that we had. And this is where the client can come back and tell us the performance of how, when we work with them to ensure what's going on, that they get certain things out of the relationship that you might be looking with your agency.
For me, the benefits with working with One SEO have been that, for me being a hands-on marketing manager, there's a sense of teamwork. When I want the teamwork, they're very receptive to working with me and not, saying that they need to do what they need to do and I have to do what I have to do. It's a very collaborative environment, which has been very helpful.
You have to have that collaboration when you're working in a multitude of channels. You can't be in just one channel and it's saying my way, the highway. You have to have a partnership that's going to allow you to be able to help the end user continue to get what they want. The agency helps you to grow your business, and then you ultimately see it from the revenue standpoint. So let's talk a little bit about, first and foremost, organic search. A lot of people will say to me as an SEOer that, SEO is dead. And I look at traffic across the board, and still the greatest area where I see traffic coming into to our sites that we work with is from an organic standpoint. Being able to look and see how things are working from a keyword standpoint, the keywords that the client wants to go after, being able to look at core Web Vitals updates, being able to see how content marketing, being able to see how link building is taking place, and being able to utilize all of those different functionalities combined to say, you know what, we combine all those different things, we provide a good end user experience, the organic traffic increases, and the number of conversions increase over time as well. You know, paid search really has it's changed, especially, you know, as far as in service-based businesses. You know, now you have going from the home service side of things with local service ads, and for painters, contractors, roofers, doctors, dentists, it's now explored over into Google Screened, lawyers, real estate, financial planning, all different things that you can look and say, this is somebody that Google's saying is a preferred vendor partner with Google, gone through the background checks to be able to say, I'm going to generate phone calls for you and nothing else. But if your business isn't in the Google Screened or local service ads program, PPC is really a lot about a lot of different things. Where's your conversion rate? Where's your search impression share? What's your cost per click? What's your quality score? What's your click-through rate? I think these are all things that you have to focus on and understanding how do you get the maximum out of what you're trying to do when you're driving traffic. Because if you don't understand these things and these specific KPIs, you know, it's a scenario where you're logging into a multitude of dashboards, whether it be the Google Ads dashboard, local service ads dashboard, to be able to say, is your campaign eligible? Is it below first paid bid? Do you need to increase your bids? Is your search impression share where you need to be? Is your target area too large? Are you running out of ad spend too fast? There's so many different factors that when you look at the paid side of the equation, that if you're not doing it, shame on you. You know, a lot of people will say to me, Bill, as I increase my organic relevancy and I'm getting more organic traffic, do you think I need to back down on the paid side of the equation? And there's so many times where I'm like, why would you do that? Google is a monopoly, okay? Literally and figuratively, okay? You have to ask yourself, how many positions do you want to occupy on that first page? Whether you're an e-com business, you're a service-based business, whatever kind of business you are, the more opportunity that you have, if you're in the #1 position in a study that was recently done, okay, 14% of all clicks, 14% of all clicks go into that organic position. If you're in the #1, and this is on a mobile standpoint, 32% from a paid standpoint, that's 46%. If you have both the #1 position for ad, the #1 position for organic, it comes out to 49%. Why wouldn't you? And one of the studies that we did with Google is that we ran some different tests to be able to see what the positioning was that for high converting keywords, #1, 2, 3 position, when we had max bidding #1 position for those keywords on that first page of Google, how did that relevance of having that first page ad placement transition into that organic position? And what we saw is there was a 55 times increase in traffic into the organic positioning based upon having just the ad on top. It was a no-brainer for us to bring that back to our clients and say, listen, this is where you have to continue to run your ad strategies as you've now got in that organic #1, 2, or 3 positioning. You know, I think data tells a story, and whether you're working with a CRM like Salesforce, ServiceTitan, Schedule Engine, Service Fusion, whatever it might be, you need to be able to gain better insights to strategize across the board, improve your customer service experience, rank your marketing campaigns, optimize your lead pipelines, understand where the return on ad spend is from a revenue standpoint, not just a conversion standpoint. I think it's important to be able to say, consider taking the actions of which campaigns are performing and which campaigns are not performing. One of the things that we did is that we heard from our clients saying, look, I have to log into AdWords Analytics, GMB, the AdWords interface. I have all these different Search Console. I have all these different platforms. So what we did was we said, let's put out a centralized aspect that would allow us to come back to you and say, you don't have to log in to all of these. You get all of it in one location to transfer your digital marketing. Whether it be got an AdWords campaign, a search campaign, everything is coming into that one platform. And it has revolutionized our ability to be able to take climatic dynamic integration and artificial intelligence and say, there's so many businesses that depend on the weather. How can we give them the tracking and reporting automation that's going to allow them to be successful? We like to call it Lion reporting, and it's allowed us to give real-time analytics and return on ad spend to any one of our clients, okay? So in 2022, here's some things that I want you to, some channels to consider. First and foremost, incorporate different marketing channels. Don't just go with what you did that worked well last year. Look at how you can take yourself out and look at new marketing channels. How are your marketing channels together, working together? One of the things that I would challenge you is when you feel your campaigns are not working effectively, utilize in GA the model attribution tool, okay? Run the changes in your attribution and say, hey, let me do this. Let me see if I change from a last click attribution model to a first click. How did it impact my different channels? I've seen people kill their entire PPC campaigns by not wanting to understand that data and being able to show that data and how it would make you more efficient and effective to be able to see, oh my gosh, I'm driving all this new traffic in via the paid channel, but yet they are coming back to me from a direct or an organic standpoint and converting. I would have lost all this business because I didn't understand the end user journey and how to incorporate better in reporting and tracking the return on ad spend. So kind of in closing, I want you to be sure in 2022 you focus on a lot of different things, but mostly importantly, focus on Google Display Network, utilizing display, utilizing remarketing, utilizing YouTube ads. Make branded video content as part of your marketing package. Look at the attribution reporting across the board. And most importantly, make sure that you're looking at mobile-friendly marketing. It's interesting because you can go into the AdWord, the AdWord and look under in your Google AdWords and look specifically at keyword queries as far as, let's say for the sake of argument, buying socks online. I'm randomly picking something. You can look whatever it was. Maybe it's a PI attorney and look at where 4 years ago, take it back all time that Google will give you that keyword research and look at the difference that's happened in the amount of search volume that's taken place in 2017, as far as it's probably about a 50-50 across the board. And then look at it today. It's probably 65 to maybe 70% mobile first, then desktop. And so optimize your content, your website, your strategies from a mobile first environment. So I challenge you to have one last poll. What new things are you going to try in 2022? Heather, I'll let you see if we can get that poll to come up here for a few minutes.
Yep, there it goes. We've got some people voting on it. We got about 10% if people want to chime in there. So far, about 25% of people say they're going to try some new things. All right, so let me close this, share those results with you, Bill. Can you see those?
They haven't come up quite yet.
So you might not be able to see them. You got them?
So it's kind of across the board. What are you going to try? 25% said, you know, we have a 35% of the 25%, 27% of the 50%, 75%, 22%, and 100% said 17%.
Yeah.
That is awesome. At the end of the day, if you're not looking and specifically saying, how can I make myself do things differently than where I am, you're going to be in the same situation that you were last year. breaking news I heard today, Facebook's removing detailed targeting. They want you to go general audiences with them. Like, that's nuts to me that you're just going to throw money out. They're going to probably lose some dollars there, but that's neither here nor there. I want to make sure that everybody knows how much I enjoyed the opportunity to speak with the audience today and talk about some of the different things that we've seen across the board. And what I'd like to do is open it up, Heather. I know we have a few minutes left for some Q&A that we might be able to help as far as answering any questions that might be out there. And if I can't answer it on the call today, by all means, you'll be more than happy to get me at, we'll have all of my contact information sent out, and I'd be happy to have any one of our team members give you a call.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, we do have some questions, and so usually once we start asking questions, we get more of them, so we'll see what all rolls in. So if you have a question for Bill, make sure you put it in the questions box on the bottom of your screen. So let's see, Bill. First one is Bridget. So she's got a question about one of the early stats that you showed. Is the stats a combo of search and YouTube for specific searches, or is it differ between B2C and B2B?
It's a general overall search, specifically not B2B, not B2C, but kind of B2E, business to everything, across the board.
Perfect. Okay. So we have a question here from Bill, and Bill says, when you mentioned that video on the homepage is 50% more likely to appear in Google search, do you mean a visual banner or a link to a video that people can click on and start viewing? How do we make sure that it doesn't slow down page load and penalize us for slow loading? It's a great question.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that, and first and foremost, I think that where Google wants to go is that, most people put that video hero image to show them in some type of background. What we have seen well is ownership and product video working much better. And you can compress that by running it through YouTube, which obviously isn't going to slow it down as much. Anytime that you put a heavy load on your site, look at the amount of JavaScript that's sitting across the board as well by what you're doing on different aspects. But I would go more down the road of not just running video to run video with regards to, let me show the image of where my location is, or specifically that aspect, but more of having video to support what the product or service is that you're putting out.
Great. So Donna asks a question, any tips for using YouTube ads on B2B companies specifically?
It's without knowing all of your marketing efforts and what you're doing across the board from a B2B standpoint. At the end of the day, what you have to remember is that when somebody's searching for your product as a B2B business online, how are you supporting that as far as what you're driving in YouTube conversion actions? You can run action campaigns where they search for you. Let's say it's CRM solutions. Okay, well, somebody might go to YouTube and now run CRM solutions or best way to pick a CRM. Your ad content then can come back because of how they searched on Google for that, and you're feeding it in because Google knows that you specifically, that end user was looking for that query, and they're feeding that ad based upon your content. Would probably be the way that I would run B2B.
Okay, so Summer has a question, and I think this goes back to one of the slides, and sometimes we do try to take questions during so that we prevent this, but she's asking, what was TCPA? So, one of your earlier.
Targeted CPA campaigns is what I was speaking to.
Perfect. Okay, Melinda said, let's see. Actually, I think that was about the survey. Okay, so here's a question on the Lion's tracking. So how does Lion track first and last click to know 100% that person saw an ad on Facebook and then organically searched in Google and then converted and then were followed by a display ad? So can you kind of explain to your client how their organic is tied to the paid spend?
So number one is that's where you would be able to look within your analytics forget about line reporting for a second. You'd be able to look in your analytics to be able to see under the conversion section on the left-hand side, multi-channel paths. And then you'd be able to see, okay, the person came in on paid search, then they went to organic search, then they went back to direct, and then the conversion actually happened in direct. So you'd be able to see the funnel path. What I was saying is that what you can do is you can actually change it, whether it be a direct first click, last click attribution. You can run a time decayed attribution model. There's so many different attribution models that you can switch up within analytics to be able to see that. If that question came up as far as with one of our clients in line reporting, we'd be able to then backtrack into analytics and showcase that piece of information. But great question.
Perfect. Let's see. Robert is asking if there's a checklist for why Google might not be indexing their e-commerce site organically. Anything that you're aware of there, Robert?
Without looking at your actual site, Robert, it would be very, very difficult to say why they're not indexing. Maybe the site is, here's what I would do. Do a view page source and see if somewhere on the site within the source code has a no index in there. Is it off of and maybe you can hit him back. Tell him he can hit me up on LinkedIn, or he can hit me up at brosell@oneseo.com and I'll take a look for him.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Let's see. Sue asks if you have any, what impact does iOS 15 have on the YouTube and retargeting?
It's there's so many different things that are happening right now as far as where iOS 15 is going to go. It's moving at lightning speed as far as changes that are happening, because as we all know, Apple and Google don't like to play together too well. But what I would recommend to you is this, okay? If she's working with a current agency, these are the kind of questions that you want to bring directly to them, and they're going to be able to look at the data that you have supported. It's so difficult to say what changes you can make without knowing the environment of what's transpiring at that moment in time, if that makes sense. It's like I guess a best practice that I would say is look at specifically what's transpiring within YouTube, what's happening as far as the traffic and where you're going.
Sorry, I thought I clicked the button. Okay. Selena is asking, she's just beginning in digital marketing and found an interest in SEO. Any advice for a fellow SEO enthusiast building? Yeah.
Follow the content on Search Engine Journal.
I like that.
Well, that's the best one I'm going to give right now. But here's what I would tell you, and congratulations for taking that particular step in your career. I think there's a tremendous amount of content that's out there that agencies like us are pushing. Other people in the space, Neil Patel, everybody's pushing content out there to help educate. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to understanding search and understanding SEO, and to put it for somebody that's newer into this space, it's about end user experience. Okay, it's about putting good quality content out there. It's about having good technical structure to your site. It's about doing the things over the course of time. It's kind of like going to the gym. It's just not one thing. I went to the gym, then I went to McDonald's and ate. It's about doing a lot of little things over that period of time. As far as education goes, there's so many resources. Just put SEO into your Twitter feed and watch it blow up. Go into LinkedIn and follow, Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Land, follow any one of the content strategies, or look at company digital marketing agencies that are out there to help. They're always putting out constant content that is going to help you to be educated. The more that you can follow, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, it really is a big community. I think that's a great point, Bill. All right. So let's see. Adrian is asking, do you recommend utilizing video on paid search landing pages?
So it's an interesting question. And the answer is first and foremost, yes. I'm a huge fan of driving traffic internally to a site and not creating a landing page environment. Okay, but when that word landing page is so loosely thrown out there, I would rather somebody land on a page that's been optimized within a site versus a standalone landing page. The reason is generally speaking, you've optimized that page from a content standpoint. From a paid search standpoint, what you will get is a better quality score because of the quality, generally speaking, of the way that you write that ad content to that page landing on, it's going to give you a better quality score across the board, which obviously is going to reduce your costs if you're running in that 7, 8, 9 type of environment. So it's really a two-part area. Yes, have video content on that particular page. And then secondly, a business personal opinion is that we try to run internally to a site versus running landing page structure and strategy.
Perfect. So Sue is asking, so Bill, are you saying here that YouTube ads is the big kahuna?
I'm sorry?
She wants to know if it's the big kahuna, if YouTube ads are the big kahuna.
The big kahuna, that's a great one. You know, so, and thank you for the question. Here's where I think it's the big factor that's going to help you change your business in 2022 comparatively maybe what you've done in 2021. Not knowing where Sue's body of work is and what she's doing, I still think that when somebody doesn't have a business in mind or have an understanding of that product that they're searching for, they're going to go to their phone, they're going to look for devices that help your dog sleep through the night. Then they're going to go look at additional aspects. So look at where your strategy is right now and how can you evolve it. If you've maximized where you are, then that might be a new strategy that I believe, and we believe, the more content that you can push via video and what you're doing as far as conversion action campaigns within YouTube, the better off you're going to be.
Perfect. So Cassandra is asking, what's 2022 looking like for advertising on channels like Snapchat and TikTok?
Depends on what your budget and spend are. I think that, you know, it's a tough call, okay? Because you got to think about how they're evolving at such a rapid rate for how the content that they're pushing out to their end users. At the end of the day, they want to make money like everybody else. I believe that we are seeing more and more people take the opportunity to be able to look at TikTok campaigns, but you got to have the money to put into it. And I know that's not what everybody wants to hear. They want to hear I'm a small to medium sized business and I got $1,000. I put my $1,000 into search before I'm trying to run campaigns on TikTok. I don't even think you'll get up for under 50 grand. So, you know, maybe a little bit less than that, but I want to have the significant budget to reach the people to where I'm going to get the best cost per acquisition that's going to drive the revenue across the board. And I'm not looking to expand myself as either for any of our clients or for One SEO ourselves until we know that we have the best possible cost per acquisition that we can for what we're doing in those other areas before I try to expand it.
That's great points. So Sandeep's asking, any recommendations on video makers?
When you, as far as when he says video makers, meaning video content creation, there's a lot of tools within Google itself that you can utilize, self-service. I turn to your agency first and foremost to say, hey, how can you help me to create better video content for the type of campaigns that I'm running? Google has a lot of self tools that you can use to run as far as from a video standpoint and create better video content.
I think that's a great point. We're using something called Biteable. We've looked at, so it's kind of like the Canva for video, you know, just kind of plug and play and it animates it for you. So there's some tools out there like that too. Fiverr is also a good place to find, you know, video people, or Upwork if you're looking to outsource. Okay, so this is a good question from Danson. Which attribution model would you recommend for omni-channel campaigns?
I'm always a fan, and this is you ask a question, you get personal opinions. I always want to know how the first touch came. I don't care about any other touch point other than looking at first click attribution. The first time that I'm seeing the interaction take place and what drove that interaction. Now, granted, I get remarketing, video, all those other things take place, but what's the first aspect that got you from point A to point B? I'm not worried about C, D, and E. I'm worried about point A to point B.
Perfect. Mike is asking, currently we run embed videos through Vimeo to a client's website. Would they receive better search results if it were embedded from YouTube?
My answer to that is yes.
All right. Short and sweet. Robert said thank you for answering this question earlier.
The reason I say that is because it's all part of the alphabet.
That's fair. Melinda is asking, do you recommend that all clients add a cookie acceptance banner on their website?
I don't see the harm in it. You know, at this point, you haven't been mandated to do it, but you also want to have transparency from you as a business owner.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, is that transparency. And that's mostly what consumers, you know, your customers are looking for these days. Gabriella asks, you mentioned the importance of combining both organic and paid search ads. Is this still true when it comes to branded keywords? Do I want to dominate the top of the SERPs if someone is already looking for my company's name, for example?
The question is, as far as your brand goes, are you seeing other people bid on it? Like, we at One SEO have to protect the brand because of the term SEO, and we're seeing a lot of people targeting One SEO as a branded term. You have to look at specifically you. You don't want to pay for traffic you don't need to pay for. But I would see how that over time, if people are brand bidding on you, if you're a major brand, let's say Nike, well, they're going to want to protect the brand. You know, you have to look at specifically how your brand is being targeted, small to medium sized business versus enterprise business. It all differs. I'm always, because you're more than likely, as far as your brand goes, going to pay pennies on the dollar, because of the fact is the quality score on that particular page strategy is going to be a 10 because it's your brand. Why not do it if other people are bidding on it? Why not do it if other people aren't? I'd have to evaluate specifically what the dollar value is that you're paying for that traffic. Now, do I want you paying more than what you need to? If nobody else is bidding on you because you're a random brand that people don't know about, or it's not in your particular aspect, I might say pull it back.
Yeah, and a big part of it becomes budget too, right? Something to consider.
Absolutely.
Okay, Kevin is asking, do you think paid Facebook ads are overrated and Google remarketing gives a better ROI?
It's a tough question. And that was Kevin that asked that question, Heather?
Yes.
Kevin, it's a great question, first and foremost. Look at your data. Look at where the amount of conversions that come through on, and people are going to be different depending on your service-based business, whether you're an e-com business. I think that either way you go, your cost per acquisition on a remarketing ad is going to be much less than any other aspect that you go within a social media funnel or a retargeting funnel. I generally think that when 1 of 3 times that somebody's going to their phone, they're going to Facebook or IG. That's where I'm going to probably leverage my dollar value from a retargeting standpoint versus being in a situation that I utilize Google from a retargeting standpoint. But I want to look at the data to support, to say, okay, you know what? I had 6 conversions on $200. All right, great. I know where my cost per acquisition was on the $200 in remarketing. Oh, on Facebook, I spent $200 and I had 8. Well, Look at the data to support your decision where to invest the money. And if at the end of the day, they're pretty darn close, why wouldn't you invest in both?
Perfect. So let's see. Abjeet is asking, what is an alternative of Google Ads? Because for the health industry, Google does not allow remarketing. What is the alternative? Yeah, so what is the alternative for the healthcare industry?
Unfortunately, you're in a little bit of trouble there, as far as from that standpoint goes. You know, what's an alternative? This is where I might be looking at some of the different things that you could do via YouTube, to be able to focus on the brand, to be able to say, hey, how do I get more content out there, as far as on social, that you could potentially look at targeting. You know, there are certain headings, obviously, that Facebook is that you can't retarget to as well. You know, so I'm going to look across the board and say, hey, how do I best promote myself outside of where it is, and the interactions that I see across the board? There's no easy answer to this question, because unfortunately you're limited as far as where you can and can't put the money.
Yeah, unfortunately. Let's see. Actually, I think that's all the questions that we have. We got about 4 minutes left. Melinda says, cheers. Just wanted to say that before it ends. Great input. She appreciates you answering her question. I believe that we had another one of those from Robert as well. So thank you, Phil. Let's see. Sometimes we get some last minute ones, like when we're wrapping up, they'll be like, oh, let me get mine in real quick. Let's see if we get any other ones. Okay, so this is a tough one, but we'll throw it out there. Morgan wants to know, I manage several of our company's websites. How many hours of SEO should I put in per week for each website?
A lot.
It depends.
Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say to you, Morgan, is that evaluate which one of the company's websites is the most important. Okay, which one's the revenue generator? If they're all equally generating, look at where the performance of each individual website is versus the other website. The simple answer is, it's not, I got to spend more hours on one versus the other. Well, where is that one website versus another? What's the traffic? What's happening from a Search Console standpoint? How is one improving over the other? Is your link profile different from one versus the other? Do you need to do more link building? Do you need to do more content creation? Is your site technically set up? Is your on page? Do you need to add pages? I don't think that you can have, and it is a great question. I think that you're probably limited in the resources if you're managing multiple sites across the board. So I'm going to evaluate which ones are performing the best and put my efforts into the ones that I know that I can make the greatest impact, because the impact that you can make on those ones that are underperforming is going to help you secure more budget as you go into the following year for the performance in which your site has done.
It's a great answer, Bill. Really, it's prioritizing and focus, right? Awesome. Well, we're about at time. We had a few more questions come in. So Hazem, we'll get Bill to get back to you about your voice search being the future. But Bill, there's definitely some.
I'll answer that in 2 seconds. I'll answer that in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to say voice search is going to be the future, but I'll challenge everybody to say when you have a voice search response, you limit the amount of people that you can give the response to, which will limit the advertising dollars that can be made from it. So think about it. When I give a response and I say, Alexa, tell me X, what's she going to give me? She gives me a response. It's difficult to monetize that situation, and until they figure out how to monetize it, it's going to be a scenario where important for giving you answers, but probably not great for giving you financial solutions for the companies that utilize voice.
Awesome. All right. Well, on that note, we are definitely at time. So Bill, tell the people where to find you.
You can find me at oneseo.com. I'll make it as easy as possible. If you want to touch base, shoot me a contact form, or you can find me at Bill Russell on LinkedIn, as well as on Twitter. I don't spend a tremendous amount of time there because I'm helping my clients get more impact on Twitter. So it's like you never go to the guy who's cutting your yard and look at what his landscaping looks like to go and say if you should choose him. So I look forward to any questions that anybody has. They can find me at easiest places, oneseo.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for all of our viewers that stuck around. Great question and answer. We'll get a recap. You guys this will be in your inbox later today, and we appreciate it. Thanks so much, Bill.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you to the audience that allowed me to spend the last hour with them.
Awesome. Have a great day. We'll see y'all later.